Will you chalk all 5 up in your mind to 5 different jurisdictions, 5 different prosecutors, 5 different juries and or judges, all conspiring to get him?
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
You were going to love this scene from Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly was part of like a panel discussion in front of a live audience, and it involved lawyers analyzing the election, and the subject turned to the lawfare used against Donald Trump over this campaign season. And, well, just watch Megyn Kelly at her very, very best.
I think Trump on appeal will win. There are so many holes in that case, so I don't think Trump will ever do one single day in jail.
So, Megyn, if we look at the 5 cases, 6 months from now, or a year from now, let's assume all 5 of them go to trial. He's guilty of 3 so far.
Wait, what do you mean he's guilty of 3 so far?
Well, he's been convicted of 3, sorry.
What do you mean? No, he hasn't.
I love this. Eugene Carroll was guilty.
That was not a conviction. That was a civil case.
Okay, well, yes, so that's what I'm talking about. So that
okay, but there's a big difference.
It's still, he was convicted. He was guilty of that. So he got a settlement.
By the way, you can tell that there are lawyers in the audience, too, because they see exactly what Megyn Kelly just did there. Did you see what Megyn Kelly just did there? So here's this guy, this lawyer. He's a lawyer. He's got a law degree. He's passed the bar exam. He represents people in court. And he's maintaining in a public forum that Donald Trump has been found guilty in 3 of the 5 cases against him. And the first example was the Eugene Carroll case. And Megyn Kelly immediately said, well, that wasn't a criminal trial. That was a civil trial. See, there's no such thing as being found guilty in a civil trial. You're found liable in a civil trial, but not guilty. There's no such thing as a conviction in a civil trial. No one's convicted in a civil trial. That's only for a criminal trial. So Megyn Kelly immediately calls him on it, and the crowd reaction's fantastic because they're like, yeah, we see exactly what this guy is doing. But he wouldn't stop. Now, there's a broader issue. You're going to watch this. You're going to love it. But there's a broader issue here about legal analysis in our media that has to be pointed out. And I will do that after the clip. Let's watch it.
Yeah, and the Trump organization, they're guilty there.
That, again, was still civil, liable.
Yes, of course. But these are the cases we're talking about. And in the third one...
she's a lawyer, right?
Yeah, of course. And in the third one... I'm just talking about the 5 cases. Yes, some are civil, obviously, and some are not. Some are criminal. But if we look at all 5 cases...
You said 3 convictions. Now you're walking it back.
I'm not walking it back. There's 3 in which he was...
You should walk it back.
Okay,
I'm
guys,
so glad Megyn is here.
Of the 5,
to
3 of them
this.
he's either guilty or...
You got a bad result.
Yeah, got a bad result. There are 2 more. If he is found guilty of those 2 more, Megyn, and 5 of 5, he had a bad result. Way to frame it. Will you chalk all 5 up in your mind to 5 different jurisdictions, 5 different prosecutors, 5 different juries and or judges, all conspiring to get him?
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
She's going to extrapolate that and explain that in a minute. But this is so important because, again, you notice how there really are no discussions right now in this presidential election, 43 days before Election Day. And in some jurisdictions in Virginia and Pennsylvania and other states, they're voting right now. There's not a whole lot of discussion about the economy. There's not a discussion about energy policy. There's not a discussion about national security, about our military, about our border, about immigration, about crime in the streets, about any of it, right? The conversations are about Donald Trump, January 6th, threat to democracy, and convicted felon. He's a convicted felon. He's a convicted felon. There's a reason for that. That's all they got. You've seen Kamala Harris, right? This is what they have. They can't run on their record. They can't run on her experience. They can't run on her likability. They can't run on her ability to be president. They can't run on national security. They can't run on the economy. They can't run on inflation. They can't run on any of that, right? And Kamala Harris knows that. In fact, she's even trying to run against the Biden administration that she's a part of, that she's the number 2 in. In fact, considering how number 1 has mashed potatoes for brains, she's basically running this White House, which is a terrifying thought, but also explains a hell of a lot. They don't have any of it. But you're going to see a lot of this. They're going to try to revive all the lawfare stuff. They're going to revive all the, he's been found guilty of 5 out of 5 cases, and he's a convicted felon, and these many felonies, and that's all the stuff that they keep trying. They throw it against the wall. They see if it sticks, and if it doesn't, they move on to the next one, right? You're going to see this a lot in the next days. If you're in a swing state, you're going to see it all over the place. You're going to see it on your Facebook page. You're going to see it in social media. You're going to hear them just throwing this out there as if it's truth, and it's not. And then they're going to say, oh, so, okay, Mr. Conspiracy Theory, you're telling me 5 different cases, 5 different jurisdictions, 5 different judges, 5 different prosecutors, and it was all stacked up against Trump. All those juries, all those judges, they were all in on it. Is that what you're saying? And Megyn Kelly just said, 100% true. Because it is 100% true, and everybody knows it. But no one has been able to articulate it like Megyn Kelly does right now. Former lawyer, former broadcast journalist, now new media sensation, Megyn Kelly, does what no legal analyst on any of the broadcast or cable news networks will do. And she does it better than anyone else. And you're going to see it right now.
That's all I wanted to hear your answer to. 5 of 5, 5 different jurisdictions. Yeah. You think it's all lawfare?
Jean Carroll, they changed the law so that she could bring a civil lawsuit against him, and she did. New York went 87% for Joe Biden. That fix was in right from the start. The fraud trial that Letitia James brought against him has never been brought. There's no victims. The banks who were involved said, we didn't lose a penny. What are we doing here? We weren't damaged. Nobody was complaining except Tish James, who ran for office saying, I will get him. Then you have Alvin Bragg, who's a George Soros-funded prosecutor who doesn't like to prosecute any crime in New York City, where I lived for 17 years, except if your name is Donald Trump. Let's go down to Georgia, where Fani Willis and Nathan Wade couldn't keep their libidos in check long enough to actually bring this case against Donald Trump. It's a repeat of what was happening in January 6th up in the case with Judge Chutkan, who loathes Trump and has sentenced almost every J6 defendant to way more jail time than their counterparts would get. Those are falling apart because of presidential immunity, which was handed down by the Supreme Court, who said you cannot bring a criminal case against a sitting president for any official act. Those cases have been gutted. Also a Supreme Court ruling saying the same on January 6 defendants in general. And that leaves us with Florida and the documents. And Trump has torn that apart because Jack Smith wasn't properly appointed and isn't the right counsel. But there are other issues. They haven't even gotten to presidential immunity there. And so that one's going nowhere as well. And by the way, they're going to appeal it up to the 11th Circuit. She just threw it out. The 11th Circuit is conservative, and thank God so is the current Supreme Court. They're not going to tolerate that nonsense.
Let me ask you about...
So that was fantastic. Right? I mean, I set it up, and I was like, boy, she better deliver, because we need the payoff. That was beyond delivering the payoff. That was brilliant. And you should try to find that clip and keep it and just blast it to everybody who tries to say, hey, convicted felon, this isn't 5 out of 5, and is this many felony counts and this many. It's all complete and total. You know that it is. By the way, I want to correct the record and thank you. You're right. These guys aren't lawyers. These are the tech bros, the tech billionaire guys who have their podcasts. They're doing a live event. But here's the thing. That makes it even worse, actually, because if you're a major billionaire CEO guy, you read more legal documents than even lawyers do. And you should have you're probably kind of a smart dude, right? If you made billions in tech, right? And if he's characterizing these legal cases against Donald Trump in that way, it's because that's how he's seen it presented in the media. There used to be a time in the media when you would have you'd have the person deliver the news, and all they did was to deliver the news. And then as we added cable news and the Sunday shows, what we ended up doing was we'll deliver the news, and we'll turn now to our political panel for analysis of this news. And then they would have a couple of individuals, usually like 3 Democrats and 1 Republican sort of thing. And they would provide political analysis, but the news guy wouldn't engage in it because, hey, I'm just a news guy. So I'll throw the topic out there, but you guys debate it because I'm the news guy. Well, we know that doesn't happen anymore. The news guy engages in the political analysis as well, right? But then something really weird happened. They went beyond politics with this model. They say, oh, we've got a legal case and everyone's watching this legal case. So I'm going to deliver the news about what happened in court today. And now we're going to turn to our legal analysts. And you would think that the legal analysts would deliver fact-based analysis based on the law, but they don't. They don't. They deliver political analysis, sometimes based on the law, sometimes not based on the law. And they say things and characterize things based on their personal political perspective. And that's why you get a guy who should know better, who's very smart, who deals with legal things all the time, basically regurgitating these left-wing lies about the court system or about the legal troubles that Donald Trump has had. And he doesn't, all those things that Megyn Kelly just reiterated to him and he's never heard it before because he doesn't watch that channel. So he just channeled Jeffrey Toobin instead of Megyn Kelly. But what Megyn Kelly said there is completely fact-based, 100%, and took her 1 minute and 15 seconds to wrap up every single bogus case against Donald Trump. And you don't see it anywhere, nearly anywhere. And that's what's wrong. The media is so broken that they can't even cover a legal proceeding without it being infected with their own personal political bias, especially if it's a legal proceeding involving Donald Trump. Brava to Megyn Kelly. Her journey has been phenomenal. And I just want to say, the fact that I have a theory about Megyn, and I'll never be able to prove it, but I'll share it with you real fast. She had a midday show on Fox News. She was phenomenal. She's a former lawyer, got the job at Fox News after being a legal analyst on multiple shows. They gave her a chance, middays, 1 hour. It was a huge success. They gave her a primetime show. When you get to primetime in Fox News, you get different network people following you. And I think they may have put a bug in her ear saying, hey, you gotta figure out how to set yourself apart from the rest of the primetime lineup here. We've got Hannity, we've got O'Reilly, we've got, I can't remember who. Oh, I think it was back when there was, Greta Van Susteren may have had a primetime show at that time, if I remember right. And Shepard Smith, right? And said, listen, you gotta find your own identity. You gotta like set yourself apart. So since O'Reilly and Hannah, you're so doing the right, maybe you are not quite so conservative. Maybe you're not so in the tank, right? And then the whole thing happened with Trump at the first debate. And I assure you, over at Fox News, the whole idea of Trump in the Republican primaries back in 2015 was sort of a, yeah, okay, we'll go through this thing, but he'll get eliminated quickly, and then we'll get down to the real Republicans like Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush and Carly Fiorina. So basically, Megyn Kelly was set up in the first debate to do the first kill shot against Donald Trump, and Donald Trump owned her. It was an amazing moment, right? And so now she's like all in. She's committed to this whole Trump thing, and she didn't like that Trump went after her. And so then she kept pushing back on Trump. But here's what's interesting that happened then. Suddenly, the networks see her doing that. It's like, wow, she's smart, she's pretty, she gets ratings in prime time, and she hates Trump, which I don't think she actually hated Trump, but I think she just saw that this was sort of her shtick now. This was going to be her show. Anyway, that's fine. I'll never prove it. Who cares? The networks then gobble her up. NBC News grabs her. And so NBC News is like, okay, yeah, she used to be conservative. Now she hates Trump. That's good enough for us. We're going to give her all these millions of dollars, and she'll do what we want her to do because everyone does what we want them to do when we give them millions of dollars. Look at Caitlin Collins on CNN. Look at Alyssa Farah on The View. This is Anna Navarro, whatever. This is what they do. But then she wouldn't do that because inherently she is right of center. Inherently, she is a conservative. Trump, regardless of her feelings about Trump. So she started doing topics on NBC News that the woke crowd over at 30 Rock hated. It's like, why are you talking about race? Why are you talking about DEI? Why are you talking about critical race theory and curriculum? Why are you talking about hypocrisy over blackface? They remember all that? So they fired her. They fired her, and she sued, and she got a settlement of like $30 million or more. And I think everybody thought she was going to go away. It's like, okay, well, she can't go back to Fox News. They'll never take her back after this. And no one in the networks are going to hire her. So she's done. She gets her $30 million. She walks away, and you'll never hear from Megyn Kelly again. And then something remarkable happened. This happened. Live streaming. She plugged a camera and a microphone into her computer, and she didn't have anybody telling her what to do. She didn't have anybody telling her what kind of content or what kind of take she should have. She didn't have to differentiate herself from Sean Hannity. She had her own little pirate ship right here streaming video, and it exploded. And she can be as conservative as she wants to be. She doesn't have to worry about differentiating or creating her own brand. She is her brand. She's already done it. And now that she's freed of all of those network weenies and executives whispering in her ear, telling her how to do what she inherently knows how to do, look at what she's doing. Did you know that in the month of July, YouTube became the single biggest distributor of digital video content, including the networks? Like if you were watching CBS or NBC, you were watching it on YouTube more than any other platform. Go ahead and look it up. Variety did an article about it. But here's what's amazing about that. In the same month, Megyn Kelly had more views on her YouTube channel than CBS and NBC News combined. She doesn't need anyone. And she's been able to build this entire thing through her brains, through her talent, through her ability. And now that she doesn't need anybody, look how conservative she truly is. That's my theory about Megyn Kelly. And it's a great success story because the real success here is you. You made this happen. Viewers made this happen. Consumers made this happen. The more we have the power to choose what and who we want to watch at any given time, and even more importantly, what and who we refuse to watch at any given time, we are empowered. And that's what all of this is about. That's why I'm here right now. This is why we're doing this through Town Hall Media. Because as soon as we have the power to pick what we want and who we want, and news and information delivered the way we want it, then the First Amendment really happens right before our eyes.